You ever stand in your robe at 6:03 a.m., frost biting your toes through thin cotton socks, steam curling off your coffee like a ghost that knows something you don't, and watch a stranger chain up the only thing that still smells like your dead wife's perfume? I'm Ryan Caldwell, 44 years old, widower, third-generation spark chaser, who can wire a skyscraper blindfolded but can't figure out how to sleep without Megan's side of the bed cold. That morning the sky over Oak Ridge Meadows was the color of a fresh bruise, and the diesel growl of Rick's recovery flatbed was the soundtrack to my nightmare coming true. My 2018 Ram 3500 sat there gleaming under the streetlight my grandfather Harold Caldwell, personally, hung in 1948, ladder racks still holding the ghost of yesterday's warehouse rewire, toolboxes that paid for Megan's chemo, stickers from our daughter Lily's elementary school on the back window. And now Rick was hooking chains like he was repossessing my soul. Across the cul-de-sac stood Vanessa Hargrove, 47, former Seattle luxury realtor turned full-time suburban dictator, wrapped in a $1,200 camel coat, pumpkin spice tumbler steaming in her manicured hand, smiling like she'd just won the lottery and my life was the ticket. The orange violation sticker flapped on my windshield like a surrender flag in a war I didn't know had started. Commercial vehicles prohibited per Silverwood Ridge HOA CC and RS Section 8.2, $75 initial, $1,200 weekly thereafter. Towing authorized after 24 hours. 24 hours. She gave me one day to erase 30 years of Caldwell blood from the street Grandpa poured with his own hands when this place was nothing but corn stalks and dreams. I still smell the diesel mixing with October air. Still taste the bile rising when Rick shrugged and said, "Just doing my job, man." Still hear Vanessa's voice cutting through the frost. Some people refuse to maintain standards, Ryan. We can't all live like we're still in the trailer park. Trailer park. My grandfather built half these houses with his own calloused hands, wired the hospital where her kids were born, laid the very asphalt she was standing on, and now this woman who'd never changed her own oil wanted my truck gone because it offended her curated Pinterest life. I started filming the second the chains touched my bumper, phone shaking in my hand, voice surprisingly calm. "Ma'am, you're trespassing on private property and attempting theft of a vehicle worth more than your SUV. Remove the chains now." Rick froze. Vanessa's smile cracked like cheap porcelain. The tow truck radio crackled with his boss, suddenly remembering jurisdiction concerns. And just like that, the chains came off. The flatbed rolled backward, and I stood in my driveway holding a coffee mug that suddenly felt like a grenade with the pin already pulled. That was the moment I understood this wasn't about parking. This was about erasure. Vanessa Hargrove wanted to erase the Caldwell name from Oak Ridge Lane the way gentrification erases history, one orange sticker at a time. But Grandpa Harold didn't pour 912 feet of concrete in 1948 just to watch his grandson get bullied out by a woman who thought rough hands was a design aesthetic. He kept the deed to the street for a reason, and I was about to find out why. The next 45 days were a masterclass in weaponized suburbia. Vanessa turned Oak Ridge Lane into her personal Stasi patrol route, 7:12 a.m. every weekday in her white Audi Q7, clipboard glowing like Excalibur, photographing my truck from 15 different angles, posting on the Silverwood Ridge Facebook group with captions like, "When one person's choices affect everyone's property values," followed by crying emojis and stock photos of gated communities in Naples, Florida. She recruited Gladys Mercer, 71, retired, 3 cats, and 0 chill, as her enforcement deputy. Gladys camped in her bay window with binoculars and a police scanner, calling in my violations like she was directing air traffic. They killed my grass with midnight hose slashings that flooded my driveway for 3 hours, deflated all 4 tires at 3:17 a.m., caught on 4K because I'd installed 6 cameras the day after the tow attempt, spray-painted commercial trash on my toolbox in washable paint because they're cowards but still wanted the scare. Vanessa went full scorched earth, called every client in my service area pretending to be concerned about professionalism, got Mrs. Lang to cancel a $6,800 kitchen rewire because we heard your electrician is involved in neighborhood disputes. She scheduled emergency HOA meetings on Tuesday mornings when working people couldn't attend, proposed $750 special assessments to fund private security patrols, Hired off-duty cops to write fake parking tickets on my street. Tickets the city later voided because, surprise, they have no jurisdiction. She measured grass height with a Home Depot ruler. Fined Mr. Patel $400 for his Harley being visible from the street. Threatened the Ramirez family with liens because their daughter's plastic slide was architecturally inconsistent. Sent certified letters to Mrs. Delgado about her grandkids' chalk art violating permanent markings clauses. The woman turned Oak Ridge Meadows into a prison where the inmates enforced their own sentences. But here's the thing about electricians. We don't panic when the lights go out. We trace the circuit. So I traced. County Recorder's Office, 3rd floor, smells like old paper and justice. Dorothy, 78, glass as thick as bulletproof glass, pulled Grandpa's original 1948 plats, and I swear the fluorescent lights flickered like God himself was nodding. Street dedication form? Never filed. Ownership transfer? Never happened. The city renewed maintenance contracts every 20 years like clockwork, patched potholes, plowed snow, hung Christmas lights every December. But the deed, the actual deed, still reads Caldwell Family Trust. Oak Ridge Lane, full 912 linear feet. I own the street. Not metaphorically. Literally. Every inch of asphalt these people have been parking on, fighting over, measuring their lives against, belongs to me. Every violation Vanessa wrote, every tow truck she called, every fine she threatened, was trespassing, theft, and harassment on property I inherited the day Grandpa died, clutching my hand and whispering, "Keep the ground, Ryan. They'll try to take it." My lawyer Coleman Pierce, high school linebacker turned property rights pitbull, went feral. Surveyor Grant Delaney spent 4 days with laser levels and boundary stakes confirming every inch. We found the original photos. Grandpa in overalls, 28 years old, standing in fresh concrete, with Harold Caldwell, developer stenciled on his hard hat, smiling like he knew one day his grandson would need this ammunition. Neighbors started talking. Mr. Patel showed me his $1,200 in motorcycle fines. The Ramirez kids cried when Vanessa made them remove their slide. Mrs. Delgado baked me empanadas and whispered. She threatened to report my grandson's lemonade stand as an unlicensed business. A secret group chat exploded. Oak Ridge Rebels, 51 members sharing ring footage of Vanessa and Gladys at 3 a.m. with box cutters, screenshots of Vanessa's burner Facebook accounts, voice memos of her telling Gladys, "If we make his life hell, he'll sell." She was building my case better than any private investigator I could have hired. Tuesday, November 4th, 7 p.m., Oak Ridge Community Center packed tighter than a Vikings playoff game. 72 bodies breathing the same nervous air, burnt coffee, and impending doom thick enough to chew. Vanessa strutted in with a $4,800 presentation card, PowerPoint titled, "Preserving Our Investment Through Decisive Action." 32 slides of my truck next to garbage dumps, abandoned factories, crime statistics from neighborhoods I've never heard of. She had testimonials, tearful speeches about property values plummeting, called for forced lien sales, private investigators, the full suburban nuclear option. I waited until she finished, until her supporters were clapping like she'd just cured cancer, until the room throbbed with self-righteous bloodlust, then stood up slow, just a working man in clean Carhartt jeans and Grandpa's old Red Wing boots still caked with 1948 concrete dust, and said, "Before we vote to steal my home, maybe we should talk about who actually owns the ground we're all standing on." I clicked the projector. Slide 1. 1948 plat map, yellowed but legible, Caldwell Family Trust in bold across Oak Ridge Lane. Slide 2. Municipal records, 77 years of maintenance contracts, 0 dedication filings. Slide 3. Grant Delaney's fresh survey, red lines showing HOA jurisdiction ends at property lines, not 1 inch into the street. Slide 4. Security footage, 3:17 a.m. October 29th, Vanessa and Gladys in black hoodies slashing my garden hose. Timestamp burning white. Audio catching Vanessa whispering, "This'll teach him." Slide 5. 312 parking citations issued on private property. Total fines $187,400. Every single one legally void. The room went dead. You could hear hearts flatline. Vanessa lunged for the remote, screaming forgery, voice cracking like cheap veneer. Coleman stepped forward calm as sunrise. "Ma'am, You've committed 312 counts of trespassing, 47 counts of vandalism, attempted theft of a $78,000 vehicle, and coordinated harassment across state lines. That's not governance. That's organized crime. Municipal Attorney Ms. Evelyn Chun, invited guest because I'm thorough, confirmed every word. The city has never held title to Oak Ridge Lane. Mr. Caldwell's ownership is unimpeachable. Grant laid the original concrete photos on the table, Grandpa's handwriting on the back. For Ryan, keep the ground. Vanessa's face folded in on itself. All that filler couldn't hold back 77 years of truth. Gladys started crying about her cats. 3 board members resigned on the spot. 1 actually vomited in the trash can. Vanessa bolted, camel coat flapping, Audi peeling out often enough to leave rubber on my asphalt. Within 48 hours, the for sale sign went up, price slashed $240,000 in 9 days. Sold to the Nguyen family, who showed up with homemade pho and asked if they could park their food truck on weekends for pop-ups. I said the street's yours on Saturdays. Bring extra spring rolls. New HOA elected Mrs. Delgado president. Voided every fine Vanessa ever wrote. Turned the enforcement budget into a community to a library and free trade school scholarships in Grandpa's name. We paved the cul-de-sac into a half-court where Lily now plays pickup with kids who used to be scared to draw on the sidewalk. Property values? Up 34% because people want to live where neighbors fight for each other, not against. Vanessa moved back to Seattle. Rumor is she's selling $18 essential oils now. Gladys joined a church knitting group and hasn't looked out her window since. Some mornings I still stand where Grandpa stood in 1948, boots in the same concrete, watching Lily shoot free throws while the Nguyen's grill lemongrass chicken, and I swear I can feel him resting a hand on my shoulder, smell the Lucky Strikes and motor oil, hear him whisper, "Good job, kid." The ground held. So tell me, when someone tries to tow your dead wife's favorite truck off the street your grandfather built with his own hands, when they slash your hoses, kill your grass, try to bankrupt you for daring to exist while working class, is it wrong to wait until they've hanged themselves with their own orange stickers, then cut the rope with truth sharp enough to sever an empire built on lies? Is justice still justice when the whole neighborhood watches the tyrant fall, then plants a community garden where her clipboard used to reign? Drop your HOA nightmare below, because I read every single one. And next week, I'm telling you how Sergeant Mike Rivers, 2 tours in Fallujah, took on the coven that tried to find a Purple Heart recipient for flying the flag he bled under, and how an entire town reminded them what real sacrifice looks like. Subscribe, ring that bell, because sometimes the little guy doesn't just win, sometimes he owns the whole damn battlefield, and the sunrise tastes different when you know nobody can ever move you again.